Hello, I'm Mary Murphy, Superintendent of the Marlborough Public Schools, and welcome to another episode of Superintendent's Corner. Joining me today are
R.J. Scaza, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning.
Jody O'Brien, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services and Equity. And Patty Brown, Director of Human Resources.
Thank you, Patty, for joining us today. This is a topic we wanted to share with the community and talk a little bit about. We have two goals for everyone to get to know you and your department, and also, as always, highlight some of our wonderful opportunities in the Marlborough Public Schools as well. But to start, will you share a little bit about yourself and your background, how long you've been in Marlborough and what you did before you joined us?
Of course. First, thanks for having me. And I have been in human resources for, I think, 18 years now. And before I came to Marlborough Public Schools, I worked in corporate HR for Bose. And prior to that, I worked in a school district in Vermont. So I've been here for 8 years. And I think that's it.
It's kind of surprising to me that you're sharing anything about yourself and not sharing. You also have a musical background, because we talk about the whole child, we talk about the whole employee, and you are a musician as well, and you have a background in music as well.
I do. So I had a first career. I'm a career changer.
Okay.
And we welcome career changers applying for our jobs as well. So I had a whole other career of about 20 years in music management, where I did administration for professional orchestras and music organizations. And before I switched into HR, I had been working for the Boston Symphony Orchestra in Boston. But now I work in human resources, and I love it.
Can you tell us about the last concert you played at?
Gosh, so I didn't play for the Boston Symphony. I played, personally, I play classical guitar. I've been playing since I was 8 years old. I still play today. I really enjoy it. It's a good outlet to have something outside of work to balance everything.
I was referring to the 2023 seventh grade chorus.
Oh, yeah. The chorus concert. I think you were there too. Also playing guitar, right?
I was riding your coattails. I might have to keep up.
No, you're great. It was a good concert. It was really fun.
It was.
Yeah, it's fun to get involved with the students when they have something exciting happening. And I think Mrs. McDonald, the music teacher, reached out and invited administrators to play. So that was really fun. And a student, too, who was great. It was good.
Yeah. I don't know if everyone in the community knows what an HR department is, or what you and your department does on a regular basis. Like, when would members of the community interact with you? When do you most meet those community members? Although I will say, I think almost everyone in Marlborough has seen either you or a member of your department at multiple different community events, school events, football games, PTO, food trucks, or anything that's been going on in the city. So do you want to talk a little bit about that to start?
Sure. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. We get out into the community. We've gone to several different events out in the community, and a big portion of what Human Resources does, it's not all that we do, but it's a big portion of what we do, is we recruit people to come and work in the Marlborough Public Schools. So teachers and classroom assistants, paraeducators, custodians, behavior technicians, cafeteria workers. So that's an area where we really work with the community to come into our schools and apply for jobs, and we help walk them through the entire process. We do other things in our department through the whole employee life cycle, like setting up for benefits, which we offer some incredible benefits in the Marlborough Public Schools.
Yes, we do.
And then, all the way through where we have folks now who are announcing that they're considering their retirement. So we work with them on that as well. So, yeah.
And we have a variety of different job opportunities, and some of them are many of them are 12-month positions, and people, if they were hired today, it would be the same as working at any other business, and full time, 12 months a year. But we also have some school year and more school day, so we have the flexibility depending on the role for people in the community that are looking more for hours when their children are at work.
Yeah, schools are a wonderful place to work if you're looking for that balance of having a really good job that works with your life and your family, and also works with having a life outside of work. So our school year employees will work the same hours as the students with a little bit extra time in the morning and after for arrival and dismissal. And they'll work 10 months for the most part. We do have some positions that work longer than that. Our paraeducators will work like a 7-hour day, and there's a half an hour lunch in the middle there. So, for example, a para could come to work at, say, the middle school at like 7:45 and be done at 3:15. So in terms of a day, it's pretty good if you're trying to figure that out. But we also have cafeteria positions, and they range for as low as like 3 hours a day. If someone really wanted to work part-time, they go all the way up to 5, 6, 7-hour day positions in the cafeteria. We have custodial positions that are evening and weekend jobs, as well as custodial positions during the day. So there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of options with the day and the number of months they work and the time that is off when students are off.
And I was just going to say, as far as school year employees, I think going into next year, we had negotiated with our paraeducators and our behavior techs, which are ABA therapists. So we have a change coming up with next year that there's going to be a handful of paraeducators who will have the opportunity to work year-round, which would be at a higher annual salary, and then our ABA therapists, the behavior techs as well, right?
Absolutely. We did make that change. We always have had a summer school, so many of them were working in the summer anyway, but this was a nice way that they have, and they know in advance and have a guaranteed, I know I'm going to be working in the summer, I know I'm going to be working in the school year, and they've got a guaranteed sort of annual income that they can count on, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people assume that schools close down during the summer months. So the fact that I think that the community should know that although not every building is opened, we have classes that happen almost, I think it's all but 2 or 3 weeks during the summer, from July all the way through August, and then we start school again in August. So we are never closed. Our schools is always opened, and all educators always basically are on duty all year long.
Yes, and teachers work outside the workday as well. Their scheduled workday, they're grading papers, they're preparing materials, they're always learning, as well as other positions that we hire for as well. Okay.
So I guess I'm wondering, if I was someone in the community and I was looking for employment in the school system, how would I go about finding what the available positions are and apply?
So a really good place to figure that out would be on our website, on the Marlborough Public Schools website. It's www.mps-edu.org. And if you go to that site, there is a menu there that you would click on, and it would take you to, on the right-hand side, a banner comes up, and there's a section that says, Join Our Team. So you click on Join Our Team, and that's where it would list all of the positions that we have available. People can click through and look at the positions. It'll tell you what is required to do the job, what are the duties of the job, what is the pay for the job. We're really transparent with everything that we post about our jobs. So we post all of our contracts online as well in the Human Resources section of the website. And then right online with all the jobs, they can apply right there electronically if they want to.
One of the things that we were talking when we were meeting before we started taping this episode was the fact that our website is can be translated into multiple different languages. But once you go to the job openings, it goes to an another platform which is not translated. So what happens if, because many of our employees are multilinguistic, right? So you don't have to only speak English and you don't have to be English fluent for all of our positions. And many of our community members read in a language other than English.
Yes.
So if someone reads this text in another language, is there a way that they can get support if they would like to apply for a job, but are having a hard time navigating this other platform that we connect to?
Yeah, sometimes when you're applying for a job in a new place and you're more comfortable reading through instructions and information for something as important as a job, you might want to do it in your first language. So they could contact our office. We are multilingual in our office as well. We have someone who is bilingual Spanish working there, and we have someone who is bilingual Portuguese working there as well. We have translators on staff. If we needed some help, that we could contact them. If there was another language that somebody needed help with, we could provide some support, possibly Haitian Creole if they needed some help with that. But if you call or contact our offices or come in, we can sit down and work through job applications with people. In fact, one of our HR generalists, Deanna Contreras Guzman, was sitting with someone yesterday going through the application process and completing it. He picked up a laptop right in our offices and worked through it with her. She was really patient with her and good about that.
That's great.
People can also have someone at home who might be able to help them through part of it, but then not feel concerned when they come in to see us that they wouldn't be comfortable when they're here. We try to make it as easy as possible. Thanks.
Do substitute teachers apply using the same application or platform? And are we in, well, this is a loaded question, but are we in need of substitute teachers?
We are in desperate need of substitute teachers. That is one of our the positions at this time of the year that we really are recruiting and trying to hire for. And so those positions are listed there as well. Some people think they have to have, a teaching degree or something to do a substitute teacher position. You do not. You need some level of experience with school-age children is helpful, maybe coaching or volunteering, or maybe some experience through your family and your life experiences. That if you put that in your application, we can consider all of that. And yes, we do also have some retired teachers who will apply, or someone who maybe started their education degree and is still working on it and wants to see if they would do well in that role at some point. They can work with us part-time while you go to school part-time. We have college students who apply. They fill it out when they're here on break in Thanksgiving break, and then they come and substitute for us during the December break that they have and at the end of the year because they get out sooner than we do. But we have people from all walks of life that apply for substitute jobs.
And I think one other substitute position besides teachers that I think we're in desperate need of is substitute nurses. And I know that there's nurses out there that do per diem. And so even if it's just one day a week, a particular day of the week, I can only sub on Mondays. Like we'll work with them as well on that. Our supervisor of nursing can put together a calendar. So I think if there's anybody in the community that's a registered nurse, that would be great too.
Yeah, we would love to have registered nurses. And we do often have nurses who are per diem and working part-time, and then they'll sub for us on a limited schedule, but that's okay. We'd be happy to have them.
Patty, one of the things that is unique about working in the schools is that in many businesses you go and you do a reference check and you apply for a job and that's it. But we do have additional requirements and screenings that every potential employee in the community should know about. Will you talk about those additional screenings that we do in the Marlborough Public Schools.
Yeah. So we are, as a school district, we are responsible for during the school day of the care and keeping of almost 5,000 of other people's children. We take that really seriously. And in addition to some of the required background checks that we do, we have some additional ones that are available to public schools that we take advantage of as well. So we're required to do a CORI, it's a criminal background check, which we do. We do fingerprints, we're required to do that as well. We're not required to do a SORI, which is a sexual offenders registry check, but we choose to do it as a district to ensure that all of our students are with adults where they will be safe. And we also check references as well. We speak to current employers and current supervisors if we can, if an applicant's comfortable with that, as well as most recent supervisors, so that we really get to know the applicant before they're coming into a public school to work with public school children.
And we also do that same type of screening, even if it is a contracted employee that comes to us in contact with our students in another way. So, for example, bus drivers.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We do all of that.
Even though they don't work for the Marlborough Public Schools, they're driving they're in contact with our students.
Yes.
So they have to go through your additional screenings as well.
They have to do the fingerprints, they have to do the CORI, and we do the SORI as well.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. What are we forgetting? Because you said you would not let us forget anything. So
I wonder sometimes with someone who is thinking about starting to go back into the workforce. Maybe they've been home for a bit raising a family, or maybe they've been going back to school, and some of their, trepidations about what would it be like if I were to apply, and what happens if I get the job. So if someone applies, their application goes to principals, supervisors, directors who review them. And then I was just wondering, because you've all been in different positions where you had to do this, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that end of it and what someone might expect once you've looked at a resume and said, hey, I might want to hire this person.
I think so. Going through a posting, there's a number of applicants. So I think the first thing that an administrator does do is to go through and looks to see if they meet the qualifications. If it's a teaching position, are they certified for cafeteria, custodian, office support? If it's a minimum of a high school diploma. So first going through and seeing if they meet the minimum requirements, and then from that application pool, putting together a list of candidates to interview. Sometimes those interviews might just be a small group of people. It might just be with the administrator. And there's other times, particularly with teachers, that it would be a larger interview group, maybe the assistant principal, maybe another teacher from that grade level. And once the interviews are done, then the administrator makes a decision on who they would like to move forward to you. And so we do that, check references. We'll call people that they have on the list. Usually it includes someone that supervises them. And from there, we turn it over to you to finish the process.
The process can take a while, though, because we all know Patty makes sure that every single box is checked before we move a candidate forward. And so I think the the community should know that, this is not applying for a job, an interview, and you're hired within days, because there are the reference checks, which can take a while. And also we we just make sure that we're checking and interviewing. Generally, we're not going to interview just one person. We're going to have to schedule multiple interviews with a community. A group. The other piece of it is that I want to make sure, though, Jody, you mentioned checking to see that there's that they meet the criteria. But there are some of our jobs that also have a time frame to meet the criteria. So especially with support staff. For support staff, if you do not have an associate's degree, then there is additional training and potentially online testing that has to be to demonstrate that you can meet the minimum requirements for that. We support people in meeting those requirements, but it does take time. Doesn't mean you cannot work and get to that point, but there are expectations that you will be what the state calls highly qualified for a position, even a support staff.
Yeah, and for example, the teacher position, all of our teachers that come into the district, they meet with the superintendent because the superintendent would have to approve the hire that was recommended from one of the building level principals. So we really are pretty thorough in making sure that we're putting the good quality employees in front of our children every day. Yeah.
It was just one addition that I thought of is, from my experience, we tend to be courteous to applicants too. So as Superintendent Murphy had mentioned, there's typically a process, so applicants are waiting to hear one way or the other. And I think principals, from my experience, have been very good about getting back to applicants in a relatively timely manner with an answer one way or the other, so people aren't left hanging.
Absolutely. We have good communication with them. You were talking before about like what qualifications people need to have and supporting them to be able to get those. And, you know, I just also want to say that we do have some positions where you might not have experience, say for like a custodial position. And you don't have that particular type of experience, but maybe you've done some landscaping or you're very physical and you like to be physical all day and you want to learn to be able to do this well. Like there are opportunities where you can apply and gain this experience along the way. And that happens quite often. We have some family members who come in and maybe they've been involved with our PTO, you know, and they have that experience and they want to try substituting, see if they would like it, and then maybe become a para and then maybe work on their teaching degree. So there's actually a career throughput as well for opportunities for growth over time if you work in the Marlborough Public Schools.
You did just briefly state that we have some good benefits. And when you just talked about you may want to come in as a paraprofessional and then continue, one of our benefits is the ability to have course reimbursement so that as you have a position, if you decide that working with children is like your passion, then potentially if you are an employee, then we will help offset that cost and we've been really focused on the flexibility of allowing people to pursue that profession because we are all passionate. We've all been in the classroom in the past, but to support people on that path as well. And we want Marlborough residents, as many as possible, to be in our classrooms.
We do. We want our employment body to represent our student body as much as possible. And where better to do that from our local community? That makes a lot of sense to us. In addition to the tuition reimbursement that we do support people with, we also have great health insurance benefits, dental benefits, life insurance benefits. We have a pension plan, so a lot of organizations outside of schools don't offer that. But schools do offer it. We have that here in the city of Marlborough, and that's a really big benefit. So, yeah.
Did we forget anything else, Patty? Because you were going to say, but other than potentially the contact information, make sure that we review that again. So how, if a community member has sat and listened to this whole show and they're interested in more information or to contact someone in your department, how would they go about that?
So they can call us at any time at 508-460-3509. You'll be prompted to press 3 to get to Human Resources, and they can come right to us. You can also come to our offices to fill out a hard copy application if you would like to. It doesn't have to be an electronic application if that's easier. And so we are there from Monday Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, and our office is at 25 Union Street. It's the same building as the middle school, but it's around the side. It's in the District Education Center.
So outside the gym area.
It's right
So anyone that goes to the Whitcomb gym, yes.
It's right next to the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, our website, which I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again. It's www.mps-edu.org, or you can email us at hr@mps-edu.org. So a lot of ways to get in touch with us and engage with us, and for us to engage with the community as well.
Great.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
And thank you to everyone who has been watching this episode of the Superintendent's Corner. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you.